Why should the Kings be confident headed into tonight's game?
Because they can be better.
They could be better than what they were the other
We
night.
did not see their best shot.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen it in previous games this season. We basically, like, I think that almost everything that they did is repeatable. I think it's possible that De'Aaron Fox averages 30-something, 35 a game in this series. I don't think that Monk is going to go for 32. But all these people who are acting like Trey Lyles was like a shock, anyone who is shocked that Trey Lyles impacted the game and impacted winning has not watched the Sacramento Kings this season.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Lyles, you know who should be hunting after Trey Lyles this offseason? The Golden State Warriors. Trey Lyles would be a perfect fit. High basketball IQ, good rebounder, good three-point shooter. He came in, that first three he hit, the Kings hadn't really hit anything. I think Davion had 1-3 before that. He came in and laced it like he was ready. The next one, laced it like he was ready. And the Warriors
caught one like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He put his feet behind the 3-point line, kind of stuck his hands out like Odell, caught it, brought it in.
Boom.
Bucket.
Yeah, so I think that's what, if you're the Kings, like, you should be looking like, okay, if they're going to take away the DHO, we'll have a counter for that. And we'll do something different tonight that they haven't seen. And we'll do it, we'll change everything. And then they have that ability. They can keep going and keep manipulating and keep doing different things. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to win. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to win game 2. I have no idea. Like, what Steph and Clay do is demoralizing. Like, you guard them for 22 seconds of shot clock and then Steph hits that fall away, or Clay takes a quarter of a step backwards and laces a ball. You're just like, what in the world was that? Like, they're so good. And so I expect this to be a really good game. One of these games is going to be like a pretty good sized margin, like, for one team. Like, there's going to be, I don't know if there'll be a full-fledged blowout, but there could be a full-fledged blowout. Like, there might be. And I don't know which side it's going to go on, but, like, look, the Kings can hit you from a bunch of different ways. And that's what I think why they should be excited. They played a solid defensive game. They gave up 122. They probably can be better on the defensive end. But at the same time, like, they out-rebounded you. They out-physicaled you. They got to the rim. They beat you.
If I was the Kings, one reason I would be confident is I don't want to make this as if the Warriors played their best game, because I think they played, B+, maybe an A- type game. There's room for them. Yeah, there's room for. They did about what they do. Now they can go crazy and do more, but they did about what they do. And if I'm the Sacramento Kings, they tried all their little normal stuff that they do. Whether it's the turning up at the beginning of the third quarter, Steph and Clay.
Kings turned it up louder.
Yeah.
I think it was like 36-29 that quarter or something like that.
But they needed like a 10-0 run to get to that. The Warriors were trying to do their best to run away and hide in that third quarter. And the Warriors tried to take them out in the deep waters, do all their little tricks. And the Kings went out there and they said, wait a minute, we can swim. And our guy didn't even play that well. Samonis didn't play that well. I mentioned earlier, Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Kevin Huerter combined for 1 of 11 from beyond the arc. Like, Monk and Fox were otherworldly. That's great, but we don't need them to be otherworldly.
But was Fox otherworldly?
Well, Fox is probably going to have 30 tonight. Monk probably is not going to have 30 plus tonight. So maybe it's just.
I'd argue if Malik just keeps going to the basket, he might.
There's nobody there. What's going to change?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it feels like we talk about fatiguing teams. That getting to the basket, that feels like it's demoralizing. When someone gets to the basket like that and you can't do anything about it. No one from the bench shot a free throw except Malik. And he shot 14 of them.
Yeah.
No one else in that second unit went to the foul line.
And here's the thing that they talk about with the fouls and all this other stuff. That's all this stuff that the Warriors are, talking about, like, people in the Bay Area talking about, like, this is who you are. This is who you are. This is what I said at the end of the day, at the end of Friday. Sometimes you just are who you are. They've been telling us who they were all year. They foul a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go to the basket. They turn the ball over. That's who they are. That's who this version of the Warriors, that's who they are. And they're surprised in game one that it wasn't something different. Or they talk about, man, they've got to clean up the turnovers. Or, man, they got to take the ball to the basket. They've showed you that's not who they are. What we saw on Saturday is who the Warriors are. The Kings saw them, and they're like, we can beat that. What I say at the end of the game, what I tweet out?
That's Omar.
That's Omar? Omar?
Did we talk about John Dickinson's tweet on Friday? Because I know I mentioned it to JD, but I don't remember if we talked about it on the show. I thought it was one of the best tweets about this series that I've seen from anyone. It was like part of a small thread, and it was just a quick line that I was like, that perfectly summarizes this series. Can the Sacramento Kings be what they've been all year, all season?
Mm-hmm.
And can the Golden State Warriors be something else?
Mm.
That's perfect. Because if the Kings are what they've been all season and the Warriors are what they've been all season, the Kings are better.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's banking on that.
Right.
Everyone is banking on the Warriors being better because it's the postseason and they're champions and they get better in the postseason.
Right.
So they have to show us something different than they showed us for 82 games. We're one game into the playoff and they haven't showed us anything different yet.
And
doesn't mean they can't tonight,
and,
but it means they didn't on Saturday.
They're getting Wiggins back, and they're getting GP2, and the Kings have been the healthiest team all year. That's why they're as good as they are as compared to the Warriors. All these other things. The Warriors are a good team. This is a big game for both teams, I think, tonight.
I had never heard health used to like demean a team like I did with Sacramento this year.
Mm.
Never in my history of watching basketball have I heard someone say, "Oh, it's a good team." They were just healthy. They just didn't get hurt. Their Sabonis, their center didn't play through a broken hand all year.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, they're not really good. They're just healthy. Like, sorry, what? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny. We've seen the game that they played the other night. We've seen that game, that mapped out game, like 10 times this season. There are like 10 wins this season where you can look that De'Aaron put up huge numbers, Malik Monk put up huge numbers, and one other guy hit a bunch of shots. And that, again, was Trey Lyles in this game. Then there's a bunch of games where Keegan Murray and Sabonis and Fox are the lead. There's a bunch of games where Harrison Barnes and Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are the lead guys. Then there's a bunch of games where, again, it's Herter along with 3 other guys that score.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, again, it's the beauty of this particular team. And whether anyone wants to acknowledge it or not, this is a great offensive team. Like defensively, they've always been a sieve, and you just hope that they can figure some stuff out and that Fox can sit there and understand that he has to be great like the entire time he's on the court on the defensive end.
And just real quick, James, but to your point, what they've done all year long is they've not been a good defensive team, but when it's time to get the stops,
they get them.
They get the stops. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. When it was time to get the stops, they get the stops, one shot and out. They're getting all the rebounds, all that stuff. To your point, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but spot on. Like that's what they've done all year long.
Well, that, and look at how many close games they've been in. Like they've been in this game, this style of game, so many times. They get it. They're comfortable in that setting. So while the Warriors have been there again and again and again all through these playoff series, and they know how to win in the playoffs, it's like, all right, well, the Kings don't know what they don't know, and they're fine with that. Like, okay, like we don't have experience, and that's where, you know, I think the question was asked, hey, did you see that? Like, it didn't really matter. The experience level didn't really matter in game 1. And Mike Brown's like, oh, come on now, let's not go there. Like the Warriors have been in every single one of these situations before.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to make changes and make it, adjustments, but that doesn't mean that the Kings don't have an idea of how to make changes and adjustments as well. Yeah. Like they have a very young team as far as playoff experience, but they have a coach who has been through everything and who's out there playing he's out there playing chess. He's not playing checkers. If you think that Alex Len move wasn't like some crazy sophisticated, like 3-dimensional chess move, that was like, and we could not see Alex Len again in this series. If if we start seeing like one of these players go nuts, we didn't see Kessler Edwards. Like the Kings have other things that they can do. And I'm not saying the Warriors don't, but
they really don't though. Where else they gonna go?
They can just have two guys go for 50 each. And
yeah, that's their play. But like, as far as like, what else do they have to show? Well, they played everybody they got that plays except for, I get what, JaMychal Green? Is that what we're talking about? Anthony Lamb. Like, they showed everything they got.
Well, I think there's more from Andrew Wiggins. Like, I think you could get more from Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, he's going to be better again as the series goes on.
I honestly think you're going to get more from Steph.
I don't know if you're getting better Wiggins.
I mean, he was like 1 of 8 from 3. Like, even if you're right, even if you're, and I was gonna say, even if you're right about his legs, I mean, he knocks down 3 of the first 7 he takes. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can. I don't know that 1 of 8 will be a consistent shooting thing. Now, what you said about the fourth quarter, yeah, I'm actually with you on that. I could see that being a thing, but I think you could probably get a little bit more from Andrew Wiggins.
And I don't disagree. Like, performance-wise, they can play better. Man, that's what I was saying. But as far as what they can throw at you, what we saw on Saturday, that's it. Like, and James was talking about, we didn't see Kessler, we didn't see Metsu, we didn't see TD. These are guys that play that's a different wrinkle that Mike Brown has to throw into the equation. Steve Kerr gave us everything he got. Now it's just like, this is what I got. You guys got to play better.
I would say that, again, like JaMychal Green, like, he can present a matchup problem. Lamb, if I'm not mistaken, against one of the games against the Kings, was really good. And like, he just gave them something different.
Lamb is sorry though. I feel about Lamb the way Bonte feel about Davion.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
if we get Lamb in there, we winning.
There's some There's some games where, you know, Davion will hit his shots. Like, I didn't feel like there was, outside of them taking away like Sabonis, like with their adjustment on Sabonis, but there's so many counters to that. And Mike Brown, he's so funny about, first of all, he hates his zone, hates it. Like he's even said, everyone's got a horrible zone, just like us. We've got a bad zone. Everyone else has a bad zone. We don't even do the zone. And then he talked about they went to a box and 1. He's like, we haven't done a box and 1 all season. And Alex Len's like, hey, you know, I don't really know this. Can you draw it up for me? He's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. We don't really care. You just go ahead and do what you're doing. We're just trying to be disruptive. We're just trying to mix it up, throw different looks at them, confuse them. Okay. And for the most part, like, all of these little things, they worked. So I think there's more adjustments that can happen. But again, that's why it's key that you have a coach who's been there, who has a staff who's been there and can sit there and work to game plan and say, okay, like, look, we've got like 3 other things that we can throw out there that are just going to be weird and confusing. And that's what they're meant to be. They're not meant to stop anything, to be the end all be all. But if you can get them to work for 5 possessions in a row and then switch to something else or go back to your normal, then you can steal these little moments in a game. And I think that's what they did.
Let's flip the script here. You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM KRX, QHD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, always live on the free Odyssey app, live in visual form as well on twitch.tv/ESPN 1320, youtube.com/ESPN 1320. So those are reasons to be confident headed into game 2. Reasons to be concerned.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I mean, Steph Curry's, I think he's going to sense the urgency of this game too. I think he's going to go out there and he's going to do everything that he can to make sure they don't go down 0-2. And that's a concern. Like, we talk about how a lot of people, you know, live off the history or what the Warriors could be or what they were in the past in some situations. Well, I'll do that right now. Steph Curry, like, I've seen it so many times, him answer the bell. So he's out there. Draymond Green is out there. They've answered bell. We've seen Klay answer the bell so many times. Them understanding the moment and understanding what this game 2 means. Once again, they've never gone down 0-2 in a Steve Kerr era in a series. They're not trying to start this series. So they're gonna be locked in, man. This is one of the great teams and the great dynasties we've ever seen in the sport. And they got their back up against the wall a little bit, and they're gonna be fighting tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, realistically, look, Klay Thompson talked about it yesterday, or yeah, it was yesterday. Someone's asked him about like the bad shots, if he liked the shots he was taking. He's like, man, I've been taking bad shots for a decade, and I've been hitting bad shots. That's just like this team. It doesn't matter. They are so incredibly gifted. They have the 2 greatest shooters of all time on their roster. So like it is what it is. I mean, you got to go out there and play the game, and you got to figure it out, and you got to find ways to slow those guys. But then you also have to find a way to counter again and again and again. And whether it's Trey Lyles again, or it's Herter stepping up, or it's Keegan Murray stepping up, or Sabonis just having a better game. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it has to happen. The Kings have to find a way. And we'll see if they have the ability to make these adjustments that have to come, because we're not going to see, we haven't seen the best the Warriors have. That's just not, it's not the case. They will be better. They will have a game in this series where there's nothing you can do about it. They hit everything, and you just got to go, okay, like, I'm just going to give it to you guys. You guys are great, and we understand, and we're going to be better next game. But for tonight, you guys were on a heater, and that's the way it goes. You just can't have 4 games where they're on a heater and there's nothing you can do about it. You got to figure out ways around that.
Clay and Steph scored their averages last night.
Yes.
30 and 21. That's essentially give or
like they
take
all did.
Percentage points. That's their average.
I feel like they all did.
You're right. Jordan Poole averages 20, but he scored 16.
16, 18. Wiggins had 17? That's about his average.
17.
He scored 16, and his average is 17.
That's why I said they all did about what they're going to do. Now, they can rise above that. They can. But it's not like anybody had an abnormally bad game like DeMontis Sabonis did, or Kevin Herter or Keegan Murray did. They all did about what they're going to do.
That's interesting.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just...
It's JD's tweet.
Yeah, it is.
Are you going to be what you've been all year, and are the Warriors going to be something else?
Dante DiVincenzo averages 9.4 per game.
He scored 10.
Like, what is Draymond? What did he score in that game?
4.
He averages 8.5. So we got 4 points there. Looney, he scored what, 8, right?
8.
He averages 7 on the season.
Clay's 21, and I think he's 21.9.
21.9.
Steph is 30. He's got to be
29.4.
What about Wiggins?
17.1.
17 points last night. Jordan, I think Jordan's a 20-point per game guy.
Yeah, 20.4.
And he scored 17. How about Kuminga for fun?
9.9.
He scored 8.
You know what another issue is with this series that I'm hearing a lot of people complain about on the Warriors side, is these non-Steph Curry minutes. And the big thing that they're upset about was in that third quarter with 2:18 to go, the Warriors were up 8. They subbed out Curry, and they lost the lead. They were down. They went into the fourth quarter down 1. And I'm sitting there like, bro, he can't play 48 minutes.
It's 35.
Like he can't play 48 minutes. He's going to have to come out at some time. And if you're going to sub him out, wouldn't it be when you're up 8? The problem that they have is they don't have anything outside of Curry consistently. If Curry's not out there, they're in trouble.
Well, they could be in bigger trouble if Jordan Poole is out.
I know.
Because that's where you...
And now you're going to put more... Everybody's saying Wiggins is going to get better. You're putting a lot on his plate, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get back soon, and we need you to score 25 a night. And now De'Aaron Fox is cooking. We need you to stop him.
Yeah.
That's a lot on his plate, a lot on them legs. So I've said the biggest thing in this series is what the Kings do with the non-Curry minutes. If they can win the non-Curry minutes, I think they win the series. And the Warriors, I don't know what they do when Curry's out. Like they couldn't survive this man sitting out 2 minutes with up 8. And people are going crazy like, Kerr, why don't you keep playing? Like Steve Kerr knows I can't play him 45 minutes a night. I can't play him that long and ask him to do all the things we ask him to do. And now they're talking about he might guard Fox. So now you want to play him 42, guard Fox, and do what he does on offense?
Good luck with that.
He's going to be fried by game 4. And I know he's an unbelievably conditioned athlete, but he's still a human being.
Fox is gonna be like what he was talking about Steph and what J.R. Smith was talking about Steph.
Yeah.
Like guarding De'Aaron is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I get it. You gonna be Matthew Dellavedova in the ice tubs and the IVs and the ERs, and he's gonna be doing all that stuff. Because if that floater had gone in, he destroyed Klay Thompson.
Destroyed him.
Just Vitamixed him.
And then the dunk.
Check your ligaments.
Yeah.
Oh man, the shot of that where he's like elbow at the rim.
The thing about it, like I said, I was talking to Coach Cal. Coach Cal said what he said.
You were talking to Coach Cal?
No, I wasn't talking.
Oh,
I saw the interview.
Hey, damn!
I was talking to somebody else close to the situation. They said, man, this is Fox, man, and look at his career. When the moments are the highest, you go back to college, you know, in those games against UCLA, in the NCAA tournament, you go back to maybe the biggest game up until this point that he had ever played was the first game of the bubble. What are you doing that game? 36 against the Spurs, killing them. Couldn't do nothing. All these games this year, when every game was the biggest game of his career, balling, averaged 25 a night, you know, and in the first game, his first ever playoff game, only the second highest point total for a person making their debut in the playoffs. The other was Luka, and there's an asterisk next to that because that was in the bubble.
The bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he tied, I think it was John Williamson, and I went back and looked. That was his first NBA playoff. He had played in the ABA playoffs like 15 games before that. Like he'd been in the playoffs a bunch, but NBA-wise, that was the first time he'd been.
So De'Aaron has the highest scoring output for a real playoff debut. Not a bubble playoff debut. Not a post-ABA playoff debut.
Yeah.
But a real playoff debut.
Hey, I'll point this out too. Like we talk about all the things that the Warriors did. The Warriors average 16.6 makes from three per game.
They got 16 on the
They
night.
got 16. The difference is usually average 43.2 attempts.
That's what I was going to ask.
So it came on 7 less attempts. I mean, 7 more attempts than what they usually take. But that was what the Kings gave them. Like the Kings are like, okay, like we're going to defend the three well, but we're also going to keep you out there. You're going to take threes. And like the Warriors have to find a way to get to the basket. But throughout the season, they're 28th in the league in 2-point field goal attempts. That's not who they are. Who they are is a team that shoots half of their shots from three. So it shouldn't be a surprise that that's who they were. Yeah, what a good tweet by John Dickinson. Shout out John Dickinson.